that's a whole other page.
Mm.
So I'll figure it out.
All right, we going, baby.
Zoom to Facebook.
What?
I know you can go live on Facebook, but can Zoom go live on
Yeah,
Facebook?
Mary, just like I do it for YouTube, I can do it on Facebook.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. All right, we on, people. So everybody, thanks for coming out yet again on another motherfucking Tuesday. Y'all could be looking at anything in the world from kitten videos to motherfucking Pornhub, but y'all out here fucking with us, so we definitely appreciate you. The Free Roots Project yet again. You already know who I am. If y'all didn't know who I was, y'all would not be here. So again, thank y'all for coming out. We one short my dog food working on some shit. So, but he'll be back next week for sure. He just got caught up with scheduling. So we're gonna miss my dog. But since we're talking about pets, he's really the only one out of the four of us that didn't have one. So, it kind of work out. But yeah, my dog will be back with us next week. So again, I'm Mike, and then I'm gonna go with Sir Crystal. Tell them who you be. Tell them who you are.
Hey everybody, I'm Crystal. That's about it.
All right.
I'm Hannah.
All right. And today we're gonna talk about pets. Hey, Hannah.
Okay, but like I was really serious because it's a whole ass thing that like nobody wants to like have conversations about. So in my mind, I was like, okay, like let's talk about it. Because even like when we were in Atlanta, like Crystal's relationship with her dogs, and then I have my relationship with being a new. I think Crystal's the one that's had hers the longest out of all of us. I mean, well, Mike grew up with a dog. I didn't grow up with pets. Like, so we have like my family dog who she's just old and doesn't do anything. And then I got my puppy at the beginning of quarantine last year. And I had been researching for 3 years on what would be a good breed for like PTSD and like all kinds of issues and stuff like that. And so doing the research, were you gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
So in the process of like trying to learn all of these things, I started to then see a lot of the different dynamics of the pet industry. Like, so when I would look up the training videos on YouTube, all the trainers are white, all of them, right? When I go to like the vet or the vet techs or whatever, she had a trainer at the beginning, and he was come here, look, it's your show.
So FYI, I had to mute y'all because the dog shit in the crate and then stepped in it. So Patty was like, I don't know what to do. So that's why I muted y'all.
Well, this is the first time that she's here. Normally I send her to the babysitters like while I record because she literally will not let me talk. So then, but then last week you guys both yelled at your dogs, and then I was like, all right, well, let's just try it out. So here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
is that what we doing?
Right.
Wait. Come here. Come here. Come on, baby. Come here.
No, he has a sweater on.
Oh yeah, they stay dressed. Now, sweetie, come over here. Sweetie. Say hello.
Look at all the little doggies.
Sweetie.
You see this nigga crazy. No.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny that they let you dress them.
Oh, that's how. Yeah, day one. They got a full wardrobe, like full seasonal, everything. Got a little rat. Got the clothes hanging on them. They got a whole thing. Yeah.
This nigga's naked because he is savage, and that's what the fuck he need to be. He don't deserve no motherfucking clothes.
Oh my God. She won't. Like, she let me put a vest on her like one time, but that was it. And she just doesn't really. Oye. Ma'am, can you not? I'm also a really shitty parent. Like, I knew I would be prior to getting her, but I also learned a lot of like how deep my shittiness as a parent would go if I ever. So like I never wanted kids prior to having her, but then having her like solidified it because like, I'm just really, really selfish. And like I think that a lot of times like I don't think that I realized like how bad it really is. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And like I'll figure out a way. Like, oh, you can't watch her, bet I'll find somebody who will so that I can go do whatever it is that I want to do. And I'm grateful that I have the means to be able to do things like that. But at another point in my life, literally just last year or the year before that, like I would not be able to do these things. And so it definitely put a lot of perspective into the friends that I have with kids or the stuff that they're doing with jobs, with kids, with whatever, like a whole like adult ass life. And I'm like, bro, how do you even like
Yeah, I think I mean definitely. Like we got Daniel everybody probably we got Daniel younger than we're supposed to get him. We got him at 5 weeks. Normally you don't get a puppy till they about 8 weeks. So Daniel's just now 9 weeks. I've had him a month. And it is very much kid-like. You know, when we first got him, bro, he was up every 2-3 hours. And he still isn't at a point where he can sleep all the way through the night. So as you can see, just shit, you know, wherever the fuck he feels like. So you know, it just kind of happened because we got him so young that he's too young to even train. Like we're just now getting to the point where you can train him to like do stuff. So for the first, 3 weeks, me and kind of sort of Patty as best she could was just kind of living in his world and taking him out when he need to be taken out, feed him when he need to be fed, and it wasn't nothing you could do. Like he didn't even know his name. So he's just this fucking thing, existing. But so it is very much it is a reminder of what having small children are like. That said though, I didn't really mind it. But he fuck up your sleep schedule. But other than that, I don't really have too many complaints. As much as I could. I just literally the other night I literally wiped his ass like 3 times. Because he's got diarrhea. So so he had done it in his cage and then sat in it at some point. So I haven't wiped anybody's ass since she was fucking 2. So so just getting to that point where I'm like, damn, like this is what you're really doing. But that said, I don't really mind it. It's not really a big deal for me. It's not really something that's a huge afterthought. Like I don't get I don't feel like I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I guess if you talk about love, that's what love is.
I mean, like yes, but also like no, because there is a certain space of I don't know. I think that I learned or experienced a new depth of vulnerability because I don't think that anybody in my life has ever really been through a lot of my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like not even my family, not my best friends, like in my most vulnerable of vulnerable, like when I am falling apart and I literally like am too embarrassed to call anybody or to say anything, like she's been there. And so there is a certain sense of this vulnerability, and then it's like that that guilt of like she wants attention right now and like I don't feel like it, you know what I'm saying? But then it turns into like this guilt of like I remember one time that I just really needed to cry. I had like a really intense therapy session, and she does this, right? So I literally went and I hid in the bathroom, and I was like, oh my God, like I've heard so many of my friends talk about having to like their only moment to breathe is like they'll go lock themselves in the bathroom. And even then she'll sit outside the door, like she cannot. And oye. So it's like there's so like yes, love is that I love her so much, like so much. But then at the same time, it's almost like very conflicting because it's still, I don't know how to like.
Nah, but I mean, but here's the thing about it. Like he's in his crate right now because I can't trust him right now, and Patty doing something. So he'll whine and he'll cry and he'll moan. But I mean, fuck him. Like he like there like there's nothing wrong with him. So he's fed, he's safe, he's clean. So I mean he's whining because he's spoiled. So when it comes to kids, man, it's the same thing. Like at a point, you got to be like, fuck them. Like they're fine. You know where they are. They're not hurt. They're full. They're okay. So if you need a moment to, go in the bathroom or go in your room and be like, leave me the fuck alone, you can tell them that. Like, and I think being the person on this panel who's had, both a kid and a dog, they'll be fine. like that. Like,
don't you think that it's having had a child, like that?
Yeah.
But, like, having no experience.
But this is me telling you that. That's what I'm saying.
But I don't know how to get through it.
Like that. Like, but you're just gonna have to be firm in that. Like they'll be fine. Like your world revolves around them, yeah, but that doesn't mean every second of your world revolves around them. Like, because eventually if you think like that, they'll run you all the way the fuck down.
She does.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So you you there at the end of the day, your job is to take care of them. And if they're taken care of, like they're full, they're not wet, they're not hurt, they're not in danger, and you don't plan to leave them in there for 3 days on some like wild shit. If you need to take an hour, let them cry themselves to sleep. Kid, pet, whatever.
You see me? I'm like, this is very bad advice.
It is not. It is not.
So my disclaimer is I don't play when it comes to pets. I'm one of those people that will call people on people. Like if I see animals looking like they're being mistreated, I'm not talking about beat, just, not giving them the proper love and attention that I think they should get.
Well, what's proper love and attention?
Right. The one that I think they should get. I think so here's my thing. Like how you're saying, like, well, they'll be okay, whatever. My thing is they have feelings. And a lot of them are very, very smart. Mine are very, very smart. So the reason why I say it's very bad advice, because if someone is listening and they're just like, oh, she might say, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? You know, whatever. And so my thing is, because Daniel is so young, you're getting him used to it. So I think he would be okay. But I couldn't do, mine are 12 years old. Like, you can't do the older senior dogs like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard stories about, when people go out of town and they put them like at a, doggy hotel, whatever, they'll literally die of a broken heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally,
but I'm not talking about that.
I know. Hold on, but I'm just getting back to, like, even if you leave them for an hour. So, like, Polo, my male dog, now Sweetie, she be real chill. Sweetie is chill, but Polo, because it's been me and him since the beginning. I didn't get him and Sweetie at the same time. I got Polo since he was like born, like, fresh out, in 8 weeks or 6 weeks, one of them. And so it's been him and I. And so because of that, he's accustomed to that bond. Like, I didn't, even when I was like 20, I think I got him like I was 20 or 21. So even around that time, I still wasn't like, I was never like a party girl or going out, whatever. So I was always there. So he got accustomed to me always being there. So even when times I need my break, it's almost worse putting him in his in his little dwelling. I hate to call it a cage because it sounds so domesticated. Like, I don't like calling it a cage, but his little dwelling with the little bed in there. I hate putting him in there because he literally howls and cries the entire time. So it becomes like, let me just let him out, because for him, he doesn't understand why he's being mistreated. So his feelings are literally being hurt, you know, and he's crying and then he's barking. So now he's out of breath because he's dehydrated. It's a whole thing, you know. And so, you know, that's why with punishments, you know, people joke and say, you know, I don't whoop them. They grew up on whoopings, you know, but they get older. So I don't really whoop them as much now at all, really. But I will fuss. I will point my finger and I'll fuss at them. But they can only be on punishment for so long because after a while, they don't remember why they're in trouble. So now they just like they're getting mistreated.
But here go my thing. Question. Cause I had an older, like I grew up with a dog. So like I had a dog from the time I was 8 to the time we put it down when I was like 21, right? So for her back really truly the back half of her life, but even probably once she got to be about 4 on up, I think she passed when she was 13. She would like she had enough of a routine to where I could take my breaks in like within the routine. And for the most part, she was chill. So like and her name was Sparkle. We didn't put Sparkle in a cage or crate or whatever you want to call her past like maybe the age of like 1.5, 2, because she didn't need it.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I was saying about you and Daniel now, because you're getting him used to it so early on. See, and that's what I'm saying. Like you're saying the same thing about Sparkle, is that she still had a routine. It was something she got used to. So what I'm saying is people can't just jump in without building up to that, saying
Well,
I'm
yeah,
just
okay.
gonna leave. You see what I'm saying?
So let me preface before Peter get involved. So what I'm saying is when they are puppies,
Yeah.
you can make time for yourself. You have to, because if you don't, then they will forever be consumed by you. So if you make time for yourself, you get them used to being without you for period, not long, but for periods of time, you can build that break in. And like babies, because babies do the same, because essentially they're babies. Babies do the same shit. They cry if you're not looking at them. And you get to a point where you have to and again, for somebody that had a baby, she's dry, she's full, she's safe, she's not hurt, she's fine. So if you're crying, and I've been with you all, and I've been with you all day, like I just had you on me, I just had you in my arm for 3 hours, right? So if I'm putting you down because you want a 4th hour and I can't give it to you, and you're gonna cry about that, she'll be fine. So, but again, by the time Sparkle got to be, maybe like 4, by the time she got to be like 4, shit, she wanted her own alone time. So, she'll be in the corner of the room, sleep her damn self. And so it really was like just having somebody in the room that was just chilling out. And so that's different. So I think for a lot of us, and it's a lot of us, Black folks, because this is one thing I hate. Niggas love to get puppies and don't never realize they're gonna be dogs. Like you gotta get through the puppy stage. And this is the puppy stage. Like this right here, him, wilding out. But like I said, right now, he curled up, he's asleep now, right? Because he's fine, right? But people never puppies are cute, just like babies are cute. But people never know, like, never be like, like, this is what I'm getting into. Like, again, I had to wipe his ass 3 times the other night. Wipe it. Like,
real life, like, let's not even get on the vet bills. Like,
yeah,
I've been cashing out on the vet bills.
Yeah,
like, I was not ready, like, at all. And honestly, like, even everything, I'm talking about, like, I researched this obsessively for 3 years, specifically her breed and everything, right? And when I tell you that it was literally like the first few months was like Darwinism, like everything that could fucking happen happened, right? Yeah. And it was like she had this at one point, she had this outrageous like projectile bloody diarrhea. I had to go to the ER. In the ER, this was like the most prestigious pet hospital, whatever ER, and like they left her sitting in her bloody diarrhea. So I had like, bro, and to advocate for something like, look, I'm in social work, whatever. I've been doing a lot of, you know, community shit for many years. But bro, this changed the whole game. Like, even when I've gotten into fights with people over like my siblings or whatever, like, you know, threatening a fucking stupid ex-girlfriend, all that kind of shit. No, like, but this was so different because of the fact that, like, you know, my siblings can still talk for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, she cannot. Right. And so it's like, I know her demeanor. I know like her personality, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and the amount of money, bro, like the flex could have been really fucking real by now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really, really was not ready. And it took me like a few months of like different things happening that I realized like she's very rambunctious and she's all over the place, but like internally she's like a little what is it, like the China dolls, the little porcelain dolls. Like everything fucks her up. So it was like, what? So all of a sudden it was like, now her food is mad expensive because I have to have like certain types of food for her. Making sure that her medications she's getting once a month, whatever. And I know that even within that, bless you, that there is privilege in being able to do that for my dog, right? So I also look at some people who they don't have the means to be able to do all of these things to be better pet parents. You know what I'm saying? And so
then you don't need a pet. And I mean, and this is and you know that people, when I say that, people crash it into like children. No, children can happen that are unplanned, like all the time, right? You don't not plan a pet, like you don't say, you know, there is no, you can always say no to getting a pet. So, but again, and that's what I say about, you know, folks getting animals that they're not ready for. Like,
people get the animals as if it's an accessory, and that's what makes me cringe. Like when I hear somebody say, "Oh, I want to," you know, and they want it because it looks cute and it's in style or it's a little, and I tell people, like, and especially the little dogs, I'm like, you got to get those little dogs attention. Like they require a lot. Like while you just want to showcase them off, like, and your work schedule is 14 hours a day or whatever, like that, you know, it's a lot that goes devoted into having them. And when I tell people that, they label me as, you know, this over obsessive, you know, white person mom type of thing. Like, oh, that's what white people do. And it's like, it's not about that. It's about adequately caring for it. And I tell people, like, these pets have hearts, you know what I'm saying? They have feelings, they have brains, like they understand things. So while you looking at it as if it's just a pet or if it's just like this whatever type of animal, it makes no sense to me. Like I literally look at them because they have their own personalities. Like they are very unique individual. You know, I have two, they're the same breed and they're both white, whatever. And people are like, how do you tell them apart? And I'm like, well, they look very different to me, but that's because I know them now, but I know them because of their distinct features and their personalities and stuff. And people don't really understand when they're saying, oh, I just want one, the long-term commitment that's to that. Like it's beyond just right now. Like, you know, then they get them and they're like, oh, I'm giving away or I'm selling it or, you know, get rid of it. That whole mindset is just like people like that. You don't need a pet right now. You're not ready.
Me and him wake up at any point between 2 and 4 a.m. And between 2 a.m. or 4 a.m., whenever we decide to get up, to the time I get up for the day, I sleep in 3 different locations because of him. So I'll sleep in like my bed or whatever. And then it'll be time for him to get up. So he'll get me up. So I'm like, all right, cool. I let him out, do his shit. He come in and eat. So then we sleep on the couch because I don't want to fall into a deep sleep because I don't want to let him loose. And then he ends up, you know, having an accident on the motherfucking carpet. So he sleep because he goes back to sleep. So he sleep, I sleep, he get back up. I let him back out again. He does his business. If he does his business, okay, we cool. And then we go sleep in the guest room because the guest room is the bed he's allowed on. So we sleep there and it can be a little deeper sleep because he's already went out and used the bathroom. So now I get a couple more hours before he like wakes up. And then I got to wake the rest of the house up. So I wake the house up at like 7:30. I've been up for like 3-4 hours before that. because of him.
Yeah.
Now, again, I'm good with that. Like I mean, yeah, I complain, you know, whatever fuck, but you know, but I knew what I was getting into, and I, you know, I'm committed like long term to it, and eventually he'll sleep through the night, whatever. But folks, this is the kind of shit you're gonna have to deal with when you get a pet. So if you're not willing to get up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., I feel you. I hear you. It's some bullshit. We was out there in 3-degree weather. It's some bullshit. But that's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah, and
Because the only alternative is you leave him out tied up on a motherfucking pole, and that's some bullshit. Like, but you know, Crystal,
it makes me cringe.
Ride through the hood. How many dogs you see tied up outside?
A lot. And the thing what gets me about that is most of the time it's like the pit bulls. Yeah. And then the pit bulls have a stereotype of what type of owner they go with. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and I was also going to say, if you also need to work on your patience or work on your anger management, then having a pet is also not for you, because a lot of people get pets just to be able to take that out on them. You know what I'm saying? Like as soon as a pet do something wrong, you know, they want to beat them, they want to whoop them as if they know better. And it's just like, they're literally still learning. Like it's not for you. And people have to come to terms with that within themselves and really be honest with themselves, and instead of just trying to be on a fad and just trying to be like, oh, I got this, you know what I'm saying? Like really be honest with yourself and tell yourself like, nah, you know, like it's not just a pet, you know what I'm saying? It's another living creature, you know what I'm saying? Like another heartbeat, and it's, you know, it's not just this minimized thing. Like they really are, you know, somebody.
I want to go back to something you said though, when you talked about the pit stereotype. Bull. And I want to put this out there to further the cause for pit bull advocacy. Daniel is at least part pit. We'll know how much pit he is whenever they get the results back. But I think he's mostly pit with some lab. Pit bulls are, and hear me when y'all watch this, pit bulls are some of the friendliest, family-oriented dogs you will ever get. But pit bulls are easily trained and they're people pleasers. And because they're easily trained and they're people pleasers, they'll do whatever it is you train them to do. So pit bulls don't have a aggressive disposition. They don't have an angry disposition. They don't have any of that. They literally please whoever their alpha is. So if your alpha tells them to fight, they're going to be more likely to do so, more so than like a lab or a collie or, you know, another kind of dog that people pleasing isn't high up on their chart. So the only reason pit bulls are great, the only reason pit bulls have that stereotype is because they are people pleasers, and people take that, and they're just bodily makeup, because I mean they are muscular dogs, and turn them into that. Like there is nothing about a pit bull that is naturally aggressive beyond any other dog. And the whole myth about them having the highest or the most powerful bite ratio, they don't. German Shepherds do actually. So again, you know, I think it's important. When I first started posting Daniel, it was mainly just like, oh look, I got a puppy. But I did want to get to a point where, you know, there's a narrative out there that you see a black man with a pit bull and he's a normal puppy. He's a normal dog. He'll be a normal dog. He'll just be that. He'll be a dog. And he'll have his own little personality. You know, I'm gonna teach him some shit, but it'll be like, you know, how to nod his head to Jay-Z or some shit like that. Like you know, like it's not gonna be, you know, like nah. Like yeah. I don't need him aggressive. I don't need him, you know, whatever. He's already naturally loyal. He's already naturally worried. He's afraid of outside. So I've been trying to teach him how to walk on a leash, and he doesn't. It's too much going on out there for him. So what I'll do now is so he'll stand on the steps and I'll like walk down the sidewalk, and he like loses his shit because he can't see me. So yeah, I mean, like for real, like we was out there for like an hour. I just kept walking up and down. Every time he couldn't see me, he'd fly off the steps and run to look. And then when I tried to get him to come to me, then he, you know, run back up the steps. So in that story, that's your pit bull.
Right. Yeah. And you know I feel like the people, you know, the group of people who get the pit bulls, who train them to be this extra overly aggressive dog, to me, I feel like it's an ego thing, because dogs are naturally going to be protective. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to train them to want to protect you. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times it's for guys to be able to show off, to be like, oh, look how tough, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, but why? Like, why do they need to be that tough? Why do people have to be scared to come around your, like, and these are your family members, your friends, and it's like, if it's a stranger coming around, they're going to naturally do what they do, which is protect, period. You don't have to train them to do that. So when you got to go that extra mile, my question then becomes why? What makes you feel like you got to have that need to go the extra mile to make him this tough, whatever, and what image that sets for you?
I mean, there's also like the origin of pit bulls was actually that they were the babysitter dogs.
Yeah.
They actually came from the UK, and they were originally literally left to guard the children. So they were, because of their demeanor and their temperament and their loyalty and their intelligence, they were literally the babysitter dog. That was their nickname before, you know, whatever. And to think that now, you know, pit bulls, like our family dog, she's half pit, half American bulldog. And I used to go to the pound out here in Miami, like every once in a while before I got my dog or whatever, because I just sometimes want to go play with fucking puppies, right? But I didn't want the responsibility, so I would go to the pound. And bro, literally, like the pound because in Miami-Dade County, it's they're illegal. So you have to have papers that say that your pit is mixed, or it's like 9% or whatever.
It's the same thing up here. It's not as strenuous, but like when we were getting him registered for PetSmart, they had to put lab mix. They couldn't put like pit bull.
Right. That's what they did with our family dog too. And so then but when we would take her like for walks, like even when she was like a baby, like you could still see it in her, you know what I'm saying? She got that big ass fucking head or whatever. And so like people in the neighborhood would be like, oh, like, is that a pit bull? And like, you know, my mom started getting mad paranoid. And like when you go to the pound, it's literally filled with pits that in Miami, what they used to do was that there was like a 2-3 year period. I'm pretty sure they still do it, but there was a period where it was like every day they would basically take 2 fighting dogs and put them in the trunk of a car and drive around for a certain amount of time until they stopped hearing one of them bark. And then they would just dispose of their bodies. And the one that was still alive, they would drop it off at the pound or let it loose or whatever, right? So this was like a 2-3 year period of like all the time. So when you go to the pound out here, it's like, it's literally just filled with pits that have been like destroyed. And it is the most, like, I stopped going, you know what I'm saying? Like I tried to keep up with it just to like go give them whatever love I could, like in the moment. But then it just started to like really, really fuck with me. Like, and I couldn't take it, because it was like this powerlessness of like seeing these animals, and it's like their innate reaction is to just love and protect, right? And in my mind, like when people have pit bulls in this, like they're super aggressive, whatever. And I was like, but so are ducks. Bitch, have you ever gotten next to baby?
Yeah, for real.
Fuck you up.
For real, yeah.
Chicken will fuck you up.
Yeah,
like, don't even look over no chicks. I was fucking chased by an alligator, like on a bike, and I almost lost my leg because I wanted to get a fucking cute picture for Instagram of this crocodile, this little baby gator, not realizing, obviously everybody knows, well, I don't know if everybody, but it's very common knowledge that if you see the baby, the mom is not far behind, right?
Yeah.
This is every breed of animal. This is humans. This is everything, no? Like, and so in my mind, it's like the fact that they've literally narrowed it down to like one dog. And I'm just like, Dalmatians have a way worse like attack record than pit bulls do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they're here like on fire trucks and on stickers and like going to schools and stuff. And like the Dalmatians are violent as fuck. So I'm like, how do y'all like justify the means of? And I remember one year, like when they had brought, I feel like the pit bull thing is literally on every single what do you call it? Like local law making, whatever the voting, right? On our ballots. And so when you actually read it, I remember one year I decided to read it, and I was just like, just the verbiage that they use is so like it's just so gross and it's so dumb and it's so just like immature. Like, how do you, and this is like real life, right? So it wasn't until like I actually read it that I realized like how tragically ignorant this hatred towards this breed of dog that is phenomenal is. And I feel like if they were to remove these bans, there would be a lot less of them in the pound, because less people, I feel like it's kind of like drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like you add this badass view of like, oh yeah, I gotta pick because they're banned.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But if you remove that and it became as common as a golden retriever or whatever as like a family dog, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't be wanting to go get these dogs that are banned or whatever, because it doesn't have that same, you know, dick extension essentially, because that's what it really comes down to, no?
Yeah, my biggest concern when I got Daniel, or even before, because I always wanted to get a pit, and I always wanted a pit, but my biggest fear about getting one, and when I got Daniel, was just the notion of him being stolen. Like we live in a predominantly Black neighborhood. Now it's a middle class, like it's a, you know, middle class. I don't believe in middle class. It's just a higher debt ceiling. But that's not it. That's neither here nor there. We live in a middle class, but it's a Black neighborhood. But you know, still, you know, niggas literally cruise. Like I don't know niggas who do this, but I know of niggas who do this. They cruise around looking for dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, and they do that. And the type of person who would steal a dog, I can't imagine what they would do to the said dog, or who they would sell it to, or, you know, whatever the fuck. So, you know, my biggest concern, and I'm not really concerned about it now, just because our schedule allows for, you know, not thank God for COVID, but COVID leaves, you know, most of this house at home. So, you know what I'm saying? So he'll always have somebody around him. He just won't be an outside dog like that. So I'm not really worried about it now. But yeah, man, I've always, and kind of same thing. People used to call me white or, you know, whatever the fuck about it, because I gave a fuck about animals, but I give a fuck about animals. Like you said,
that is crazy. Like
yeah,
why is that a race thing?
Yeah,
like why is it a race thing to have humanity for another soul, for another heart? Like, that's crazy to me.
And my thing is like, dog, if you don't give a fuck, cool, don't have them around.
Right.
Like, how do you have a dog and I don't give a fuck about a dog, nigga, for real? Like, then why you got one?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you not, because you can be not an animal person. I don't knock anybody for saying, you know, I don't, you know, that ain't no shit I fuck with. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Fuck. All right, cool, bet. But how do you be one? And then, like I said, you treat it and talk about it like it's a car or a TV or a motherfucking watch or a motherfucking, you know, I got this Rottweiler and that motherfucker be chained in the backyard, you know, fucking, you know, 7 days a week. Like, you ain't got shit. Like, you have a creature back there, you know, losing his motherfucking mind. And, you know, just so you can, you know, be in a Facebook group, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, whatever the fuck. He don't know you. He don't fuck with you. He don't rock with you like that. And he's about to spend, you know, a couple years until you literally get tired of him, you know, tortured.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if somebody locked you the fuck up in a motherfucking cage, which again, talk about the prison industrial complex, that shit wrong, and the shit is wrong. The shit needs to be abolished. Absolutely. So if you feel like that shit don't need to be how it is, solitary confinement needs to be, you know, illegal, which, you know, I agree with 1,000%, then how the fuck do you see another being and feel like that's okay with them?
Right.
Like, even beyond dogs, like besides dogs, I'm into fish. So if y'all have followed the page, like I love fish. And yeah. Love fish. I
never knew this.
Yeah. So before I had Daniel last year, I had two betas, and one of them was a rescue beta. When I got him, this nigga had tumors all over his body and was like, yeah, and was like swimming, like, yeah. When I got him, he had those, and then he was swimming like he couldn't if he was resting, you know how fish rest, he was resting like that. So he was resting like kind of straight up and down. So for like 3 days, I had to treat his water, do all that kind of shit, and then I had to swim him. So I had to put my hand in the water. I had to guide him around, kind of until he got the strength to swim on his own. So I did that shit for like 3 days, right? So I say that point to say this: beta fish need 10 gallons of water. Niggas be putting betas in motherfucking cups, in motherfucking cute bowls, and putting them on your desk and all that bullshit. Beta fish need 10 gallons of water. Betas are naturally found in Asian rivers and streams. So they're used to flowing water. So that's where they're used to, like that's their natural habitat. They don't live in still water. So you need 10 gallons of motherfucking water per beta fish. And you need a motherfucking filter that filters out water that creates like a current. That's what they need. So y'all be buying these motherfucking betas out the motherfucking jars, out of motherfucking Petco, and be throwing them in, you know, a fucking water bottle with a goddamn plant and be like, oh, look, it's decoration. That's fucking torture.
Yeah.
Stop fucking doing it. Stop fucking doing it. There is not a fish out there, with the exception of like maybe 2 or 3 that you can buy, that don't need 10 gallons of water per fish. So if you're not about to invest in an actual 10-gallon tank, 10, 15, 20, 25-gallon tank, don't get no fucking fish. Don't fucking do it. Do not fucking do it.
There's that. I mean, also like on a.
Yo, and the betas that are in the cups at the pet store and they look calm, it's because they're drugged.
What?
Yeah. They put a chemical in the water. They put a chemical in the water that like sedates them. So that's why they look like that. So they're not calm, they're not chilling, they're not cool. They're literally sedated.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What's it called? There was like, yeah, I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say. Hold on. Toma.
Also, while she figuring it out, beta fish live up to 7 years. So all of this, like, you know, a beta can be, you know, you got a beta for like 6 months and it died. Oh, it's just that. No, you fucking killed it. Like beta fish literally have like a 5 to 7 year lifespan if you take care of it. Now, more commonly in captivity, you're talking like 3 to 4 years. But this 6 month and out shit, y'all are killing them. You're killing them. They're not dying naturally. You're fucking killing them. So anyway, that's my fish rant.
I didn't know that you felt that way about fish. That's really good to know. A few years ago, there was actually, okay, so in South Florida, in Key West, which is the southernmost point of the United States, it's mile marker 0, right? But in Key West, there is a massive secret naval base, right? Not really secret, but nobody ever like acknowledges it. You know what I'm saying? But like when you're in Key West, you see all the barbed wire and all of that, right? So like a few years ago, there was a pod of pilot whales that ended up getting beached, and the majority of them died. I think it was like 24 of them died or something, and a fisherman had found them. And one of the theories was that because whales can't distinguish between you know, the sonar from the satellites of the military base versus other pods of whales, essentially it's the same type of process or whatever. So it looked like these whales thought that they were trying to find like another pod. What? I don't know what you want. So then they ended up dying, and then the Navy came in and they borrowed these the what do you call it, like the 18-wheelers, and the Navy SEALs had to come in and save the last few, and they were like teenager pilot whales, whatever. So they took them to Key Largo, which is like maybe like 2 hours away from where they found them, and they took them to like this marine conservatory. So my friend and I, we started volunteering there, and we would have to be in the water 8-hour shifts all around, because if they were too weak to hold themselves up, but so they would literally sink and drown because their blowholes would literally whatever, they would drown. So while we were there, it was like, well, I fell in love. I don't know if you watch like SpongeBob, but like Mr. Krabs' daughter, Pearl, she's a pilot whale. So like the first thing they tell you was don't get attached. And I was like, what? Feelings? I don't have those. I'm fine. What? I named her. I was like, yo, that's my girl. Like, I was in love. I was in love with her. And it was like the greatest. And then all of a sudden, so since this place was a volunteer place, all of these vets came from around the world, the kind that were like on National Geographics. This guy who was famous because he invented this invention that can translate dolphin into human, whatever. His name is Jack something. So like all these people started coming from all over the world because it was a really big deal in the marine life. And the University of Miami had their marine people there, whatever. Then we're like a week into this, right? My homegirl and I are waking up. We were like super young, wild, and like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And like hang out with the whales every day. And we would have to rotate our shifts or whatever. So all of a sudden one day, SeaWorld shows up, right? So SeaWorld shows up with the doctors, the medications, the whole night. You know? Like they brought their fucking Beverly Hills whale bag and we're like, let's go, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like we're here to save the day, right? And so it was like this, all of a sudden, like you could see how the dynamics changed. Mind you, my friend and I are just like mad young and dumb, right? We just wanted to fucking hang out with whales, right? So we're not thinking nothing. But then all of a sudden you start to see the dynamics and the politics in play. And like it blew my mind to understand that bureaucracy is enmeshed in every single facet of life here. You know what I'm saying? And so then in the end, like they promised that they weren't there to take the whales or whatever, but in the end, they did, and there was nobody that could fight them because it was a volunteer place. So they took the last 4 surviving whales, 2 of them to a new exhibit at the San Diego SeaWorld, and then 2 to the Orlando one. 3 of the 4 that they took died, and only 1 lived out of the 4. And so out of the whole entire pod, like only 1 whale was left alive. And so I remember that changing a lot of my belief systems on animals, right? And then understanding and looking at the behind the scenes of even animal activists and organizations and all of that. And like when they decide to care, how they decide to care, when they decide to pop up and all of that. And I was like, what the fuck? So like all of a sudden, like all these people that are getting funding or whatever, like where is that? What? Like where is that going? You know what I'm saying? Like who are you funding? And so I started to pay attention more to like the pyramid, essentially, not because that's what it really comes down to. It's the same exact thing as child welfare. In Miami-Dade, our animal website for the city, right? Because they have the main Miami-Dade shelter. So they'll have the little thumbnail of all the dogs up for adoption, whatever. Then you go to social welfare and they literally have the same exact setup and format for adopting children. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, how do you? So then it was like, I don't know. It just got really intense. And it was like, there's so many people who do need pets though, right? Like there's a lot of organizations that to get a service dog that's already trained is like 5 G's. I mean, I'm sorry, 50, sorry. $50,000. And they have all these little things that like you, and majority of these organizations, they'll get the pets from a breeder, right? And you don't even know at the end of the day if it was done right or whatever, right? Because a lot of times they'll be breeding them back to back to back. Like, yo, if she just had a litter, she should not be getting pregnant right now. You know what I'm saying? Right. And they'll literally like just keep it going, whatever. And then they'll have, they'll train the dogs, whatever. But a lot of the times, for example, like the PTSD, which is what I was looking into for specifically, a lot of the organizations that work with training dogs for people with PTSD, it's only combat PTSD. It's not abuse, it's not natural disasters, it's literally combat. And so then they take those and they'll give them to the veteran ones who get the grants, right, in order to continue, like the Wounded Warriors or whatever the fucks, all of those organizations, and then they'll be up in line to get those pets first. Then you look at the fact that like there's a few organizations that do give pets to children, but the child has to be, first of all, you need stupid money to get these dogs, right? Because most of the time they're not in metropolitan cities. They're out like on some little ranch or some farm or some shit, right? You have to go over there, be there for like a week at a time. You have to go through extensive vetting processes. Some of them you have to wait up to 3 years to get these service dogs. And you can't take your own dog to be trained there. So a lot of the behind the scenes is stuff that a lot of people don't know. Like they'll just see somebody with like a service dog, and then that in itself is its a whole own thing, the way that people lie about like, oh, this is a service dog, and it's like, bitch, it's not, right? And a service dog is not the same thing as a therapy emotional support animal, and a lot of people think that it's interchangeable, and it's not. Like some dogs are literally trained to go get medication, to know how to call somebody, to know how to do the most outrageous shit. There's this dog that was brought from Europe for this lady that I know. Her son has like severely wild fucking like diabetes, right? And this dog will sleep in the room, but the dog is trained to stay awake while the kid sleeps, and the dog can detect when his sugar levels are dropping while he sleeps, and is trained to go get the mom. And this dog has saved this child's life, I think it was like 3 times, from a diabetic coma.
Wow.
And so, but the amount of money that this lady has, you know what I'm saying? Like her and her husband are in a position to be able to provide that for their child. But it's a lot that goes into a lot of these things. And so I definitely agree with obviously like not being for child abuse, but I definitely also wish that dogs were more readily available for people of different necessities, and not have it be something that is so for the elite. Like they'll take dogs to communities that are like white and low crime rates, right, for therapy or whatever. And I'm like, why the fuck would you not take the dogs to inner cities?
And let's not to mention that a lot of these dogs be trained by prisoners. So if we're talking about the train the dogs, you know, it's damn near next to nothing, because you're not paying prisoners anything but 10 cents a day, if that. And then, you know, you take the dog that's trained up, and you know, you hawk them to, you know, the wealthy for $50,000 a head. I mean, fuck.
It's a lot of money in dogs. My homeboy was killed right after he had just had a litter of the little gray, what are they called, the blue nose pits.
Yeah,
and they really killed him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they snatched up all the little puppies. And when his brother told me, like, I had literally just visited him like the week before when the puppies had been born to see them, whatever. And I was like, nah, like, what the fuck? So like that shit is super fucking real, you know? And it's like, yeah, there's people stealing fucking dogs and going to sell that shit on whatever. There's a lot of people that are running scams, like on Craigslist, like, oh yeah, come and see this dog, and being held up, or the dog dies like in like 5 minutes after you get it, or you know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of shit within this essentially industry, because that's what the fuck it is, just like anything else.
Yeah.
So to go back, just to be clear, SeaWorld is owned by Anheuser-Busch. Yeah, and if it's not anymore, it was. And the reason why I know this, my biggest regret of my childhood is I've been to every SeaWorld at the time that there was. My dad worked for Anheuser-Busch, and he was an executive for him. So we got free passes to him and shit. And back then I wanted to be a marine biologist because I saw Free Willy. So yeah, no, I was like dead set on it. Like I knew what college I was going to, like all that kind of shit. But yeah, so in hindsight, it makes sense why they don't give a fuck about the animals. I mean, it's owned by an alcohol company. So that's definitely a thing. And I don't know, have y'all seen Blackfish? Has anybody seen that?
I won't do it. I
Bro,
won't.
if you okay, yeah, if you might not want to see it since you've gotten up close and personal. But if y'all haven't seen Blackfish, man, it is a deep watch. And it hits home for me because I used to live by SeaWorld's like information. Like I used to live by like their data. I used to know, hey, I used to go off of like their shit when I was like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. And all of it's false. They SeaWorld will tell you killer whales live to be, or orcas live to be 35. They live to be 70 to 80. They live to be 30 if they're lucky in captivity. So, that's where they get that from. And if you haven't seen it, there's stories in it that are just, are just heartbreaking. But one in particular that I got from it is that orcas' language is so sophisticated, and they're so they're like wolves. Their entire identity, or like dogs, their entire identity is wrapped up in their pack. So like your dog, if you got a dog, your dog's entire identity is wrapped up in your house, like your pack, your crew, whoever. And it's so much so that orcas have different languages per pod. Pod is a group. So they'll have these orcas from SeaWorld in these pools essentially, and there'll be 3 orcas from like 3 different pods, and it's literally like they don't even speak the same language. So they can't even necessarily understand each other. So it's not like, when you throw them together, you think, oh, they're in a pod. No, they're not in a pod. They're distinctly different identities in there. So, that's conflict. And then it's another story about a female orca had a calf.
Oh, I thought you
And
meant a female trainer.
well, yeah, no, not even that. The female orca had a calf. The calf was taken to another facility. And the female, orca spent 3, however many days it was, and they couldn't describe it as like anything but grief. Like literally sat in the corner of the pool and just like cried. And they were analyzing the noises she was making, and they were long distance communication. So she would literally spent days calling for a child, calling for her. And the other 2 females in the pod would go to the pool, like go up to her, check on her, swim back down. So again, when you talk about how big their brain is. So, when you talk about the level of sophistication that goes into like what makes them. And like I said, if you can get through it, I would recommend watching it. It definitely gives you an insight, and then apply it to animals just the world over. It gives you insight into how similar we really are, and how emotion, and how personality, and how love, and how all of that transcends into everybody.
Right. And community, like all of them are like here for their fucking peoples. Like, yo, that's, what I'm saying? They don't kill unless they need to, unless they're being harmed. Like, it's like, yo, like they know how to be in a world with other species and just be like vibing. Like, we don't all have to be the same thing, but we also don't have to be out here fucking, murdering each other and shit like that, like for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, humans are literally the only ones that kill each other, like, for not food.
Literally. Literally.
And it's so wild to me. And even knowing, like, I could watch a whole ass documentary on serial killers and child abuse and all kinds of shit before I could watch something on the animals. Because at the end of the day, in my mind, it comes back to that level of injustice that it's like, how do you even, like, they don't have a choice. Right? It's like that. I mean, not to say that child abuse kids or victims have the choice, right? But they can speak or whatever the fuck. I'm not comparing them as far as like what's worse, but but the animals one, like I remember when I was in Spain one time with my family, and the three biggest bullfighters in the world were having like a thing, right? So my uncle was like, okay, like this is a really big deal. Let's go, whatever. I had never in my life seen anything like that before. And so, bro, I could, it is, it is not what, you know, like in the movies, it's so minimized, right? Like the red flag and then they just charge and whatever. Like, no. This, like, they all die, all of them, right? Like they all die, no matter what. And the biggest trophy that you can get, it, like the Goliath, the last final headliner bull, whatever, like the matador, he has to cut off his ears and give it to certain people as his trophy. So that time there was one of the duchesses from I don't know fucking where was there in the audience, and he cut off the fucking ear and gave it to, and I'm just sitting there like, and all these people are like cheering and like it was like the, like when I would see the crowds in like the gladiator movies, right? Like I'm talking about like people are bleeding out and people are cheering. It's the same way that I feel when I see these days like people fighting and there's like blood on the streets and people are filming with their phones instead of doing something. Like I literally cannot handle that. Like my body, I black out. I have put myself in a lot of really fucked up situations because in my mind, like I just can't comprehend the joy out of violence. It does not, I don't understand it. And so from seeing it with animals on all different levels, from the cockfights to the dog fights to the bullfights to the rodeos to the like everything. Even in here in Miami, they put out like a last year or over the last 2 years, they finally acknowledged, they made it public that iguanas are like what is it, like pariahs or whatever, like they kill everything and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Invasive
right,
species.
right, the ecosystem. So people started killing iguanas left and right and posting them all over the fucking internet. And it was like, oh yeah, cool. And then the pythons. So people would go, and now there's literally like bounty pythons or python bounty hunters or whatever, where these people are literally paid to go into the Everglades and get these pythons and kill them. And I'm like, how do you? I went fishing one time and having the fish die in my hand was like, I cried the whole entire time. Like I could not, like, I don't understand the joy of watching something literally die in my hands. To think about these people doing the sharks or the manatees or the whales and the marlins just for sport. Like we're not even at a point where they're eating them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's literally for the joy of killing something.
Yeah. That's
not barbaric as fuck. Like
we are the only things that eat meat that hunt on a full stomach. Yep. And it's actually a study. I was just reading this the other day that the most dangerous animals on the planet are actually herbivores. And the reason why is because herbivores have typically have an unlimited amount of food. So they're not really concerned with like conserving energy, but like a predator, carnivores, like energy, like the way they calculate risk to like their energy ratio. Because most carnivores can go days without eating. Like if you talk about, when you think about carnivore, you think about a lion, right? A lion eats probably once every 5 days. They have a kill rate of like 20%. So most of the time when they hunt, it's pretty unsuccessful. So when you're in, and I'm not, it's in telling anybody to go, I gotta preface it because Crystal right. Like I'm not telling anybody to go in there and like, so preface it. Don't go fucking with a lion. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you're in a situation where you're looking at a hippo or you're looking at a lion, the hippo will be more likely to fuck with you than the lion will. Because the lion calculates risk, reward, energy level, all that kind of shit.
And hippos are actually really fucking aggressive.
Yeah,
and
but yeah,
and
that's like
fuck you up.
But because hippos are herbivores. So like most herbivores you meet, they're gonna be really big, they're gonna be really mean. And they can do that because their food supply is typically unlimited. There are more hippo deaths in the world than like I want to say shark and lion shit put together or something like that. Like the motherfuckers that kill you. But it's because they're not worried about food. A lion, if it doesn't think it can benefit from killing you, it won't. So, again, I'm not telling you, I don't know who white watching. This one white folks shit if they go do it. But I don't know if somebody white is watching this, but I'm not telling you go fuck with a lion. But what I'm saying is when you talk about what's vicious and like what deserves to be killed or hunted for like trophies and shit like that, when you got a lion or you got a cougar, or you got a cheetah, or you got a, whatever fuck, half the time, they are the ones that are actually truly afraid of you. So, so you're not even, whatever. And let alone the fact that you're shooting it with a gun, like run up on it. And that's always, whenever I'm talking about hunters, whenever I'm talking about whatever fuck, run up on it. And even the whole, when people go deer hunting and their justification is, well, deers overpopulate. When they overpopulate, they make they spread disease, amongst themselves, blah, 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 blah. The deers wouldn't overpopulate had y'all not killed all the wolves. Like that's why deers overpopulate. You kill the wolves, you kill the bears, you kill the cougars. That's why deers overpopulate. Nature maintains and runs itself. Right. It's people that fuck it up
all the time.
Like nothing overpopulates unless people fuck it up.
Right. There was a documentary that I was watching on this. Essentially, it's a phenomenon that's happening in I want to say Maine. Is Maine where the Martha's whatever the fucks is?
Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, all of that in that whole little area. Whatever, they're all like together. No.
No, Maine is like 800 miles north of that. But keep going.
Okay, whatever. So some shit happened, right? And the people essentially they had, I think it was like a hamster or like a mouse or something that this human didn't want, and they let it into the wild there. And their ecosystem is so fragile because it's not an overpopulated city, like it's not a metropolitan city. They have a very specific type of agriculture and the animals and whatever. So this little fucking thing went in there and fucked the whole thing up and brought Lyme disease. So all of a sudden, all these people start fucking dying and they have no idea why or how or what happened. So this young little fucking startup guy from like Silicon Valley or some shit like that, I don't know what, he was like a techie kind of guy, whatever. He's like, I'm gonna go figure this out, right? So he goes and like in the process of doing like all his research and everything, he realized that it was literally all the way back to that little moment. And when we look at a lot of diseases, a lot of all kinds of stuff, a lot of it does come back with humans fucking with nature. As soon as that happens, I mean, bro, people have been like doing stuff with animals for like a million years. But all of a sudden you throw in like capitalism and whatever, and it fucks up everything. I've been on like this Native American rabbit hole lately, right? And so I was watching this documentary, and one of the ways that the white people essentially were able to kill off so many Native Americans at one time
was killing the buffalo.
Killing buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, when I learned that, I was like, what? Like, you have to be a certain level of fucked up. So they were explaining how from the beginning, they never had to worry about food supply or because they would use every single part of the buffalo. They would use the bones for weapons. They would use the meat for the village, and they would use the skin and whatever for clothing, for teepees, for whatever.
They use the fat for the fire, all kind of shit.
Right. Yeah. So they used the whole entire thing, and they never wanted because they never used more than they needed. As long as everybody was good and the buffalo lived and everybody was fine. All of a sudden, like the white people come in and they were like, let's fuck with their food supply. And I'm like, yo, like, like to be able to articulate the fact that like I'm gonna put you and this honestly, like it goes back to even some of the conversation that we were having with Judas and the Black Messiah. Is like the government literally makes them play themselves because essentially like they put you in a fucking corner where it's like, well, you can die of starvation or you can sign over your land and live in a fucking concentration camp for generations. And so understanding the levels, I mean, even just from our conversation from last week to this week, and then talking about like even just food in general, right? Like we talk about like the food deserts, we talk about like how expensive organic is, and then even that, like what the fuck is organic when you have all of these hormones being pushed into everything, including the dirt and the soil. Like when you look at a 14-year-old today, they don't look the same way they did when I was fucking 14. You know what I'm saying? Like they got like a whole ass body like by the time they're like 10, right? Girls are getting their periods a lot earlier because of the amount of hormones in the food, and they don't have the option. So if they're eating at school, right, like everything is it's all connected, and I'm freaking the fuck out, guys. But yeah, understanding that buffalo shit really fucked me up. And then seeing like what was it, like a few weeks ago, I mean, even the COVID food banks, right? Like the fact that you have these restaurants that are literally like Whole Foods is throwing away how much food every day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And there's people literally that have been working 9 to 5s humbly in their little fucking corner. They're not no fucking drug addicts. And even if they were, they have a right to fucking eat. But the fact that we have literally like this imbalance of these people throwing away. When I leave a restaurant, bro, even if it's like the smallest thing, I'll take it and I'll give it to somebody. Everybody needs food. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm it's a thing. And it bothers me so much when people have the conscious decision and they just, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And like it is that simple. And then when you look at it as it grows further and further, you know what I'm saying? Like on a from a macro to a micro, like there's people starving right now trying to go get food from these places because of COVID in these snowstorms, right? And like, how do you even justify that when then you move like, you know, to the fancy part of the city and these people are throwing away like fucking caviar and shrimp and all kinds of shit because it was like an hour old.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that? I clearly feel a lot of things right now.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck we talking about.
I don't know how we got here, guys. I'm sorry.
It was deep though. It was deep as a motherfucker. It was deep as a motherfucker. I don't know how the fuck we got here though. It was deep as a motherfucker though.
Yeah, I was really upset. I'm sorry.
It was facts. It was facts as fuck. Don't get it twisted. It was hella facts.
I've been like really looking into this, and then you know, like growing up in Kuwait, I remember like I want to say maybe 3 years ago was the first time that I learned about people my age having been on government assistance and having memories of the powdered milk and the rations of rice and the whatever in here in America. No, like in my mind, I didn't have any context for knowing that that was a thing here. And so I remember hearing their stories and just thinking like, that sounds like third world as fuck to me. You know what I'm saying? The fact that like your parents are both working, paying their taxes, doing everything they're supposed to be doing, and yet they're literally rationing your rice. But yet we talk about communism and socialism, and I'm like, why the fuck is nobody talking about that? I never learned about any of those programs or what it was that they were feeding these kids in any of my classes here when I came to school here. I didn't learn about any of this, you know what I'm saying? And like, and we talk about social welfare, but we're not like really talking about it, no? Like, and even it's just it's a lot of information in America.
Them dogs, man. Them dogs. Nah,
It's
man.
glasses on today, guys. I'm sorry.
No, but I think to kind of connect it all. The every when you live in America, and when I say America, I mean anything that's Western and like imperialized. Everything is a commodity because everything is based off capitalism.
Right.
And if it's based off capitalism, it's based off classism. And so, things have to be ranked in order of importance of life, right? Otherwise, capitalism doesn't work. Uh, the reason why we can justify Whole Foods using prison labor is because bad people are in jail. That's the narrative, right? So because bad people are in jail, they deserve not to make a living wage. They deserve not to have rights. They deserve not to have, heat, and they deserve, they deserve that, right? And again, this isn't me agreeing. This is how capitalism works, and this is how they get you to participate in it, right? So, with animals, um, poor people are in a fight with animals as far as attention for rights. You know what I'm saying? So you have millions of people in America who are literally, who are in conditions that are vying for the attention of social reform against animals. And so, therefore you will have a ton of people who don't see the value in animals because they either are poor people or they know poor people. So a lot of our response to I don't give a fuck about no dog, I don't give a fuck about no, cat, I don't give a fuck about no pet. It's rooted in the fact that they've seen people, loved ones, if not themselves, wholly struggle out here. So, if you grew up a certain way, if you grew up fucked up out here, if you know family that did, or you got a mama that did, and then you see, somebody advocating for the right of a dog, it'll make you feel some kind of way. Now you have to get to a point where you understand that ain't the dog's fault. The dog isn't the enemy. Just like we have to understand that other poor people, other people of color aren't in all instances the enemy. Like the enemy is the 1%. The enemy is the wealthy. That's the enemy. Those are the people who are hoarding the resources and not letting everything fall down for people and animals. You know what I'm saying? Like hotels throw away 40 pounds of food a day. The amount of food hotels throw away a day can give everybody in the world 2,000 calories. That's a fact. You can look it up. So but that's Hilton, that's Marriott, that's IG. That's who the enemy is. The enemy isn't other poor people fighting this class war, and the enemy isn't the dog left out in the cold, or the dog that's also eating processed bullshit because nothing is real anymore. That's not the enemy. The enemy is people who make farming in your backyard illegal. If you live in a city, you can't farm in your backyard. Like your lawn has to be a lawn. You can't use it as a garden. You get fined for that. They destroy that shit. Why? Who the fuck knows why? So, but when you put stuff in place that makes life like that, it pits entities against each other. And a lot of that, you throw in animals in that. So, that's a lot of where we are now.
There's also like it's also conversations about like the systems in place, right? Like they want to build a wall, but they don't want to do the work either. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember I used to work at a hospital out here. I used to do the hearing screenings for newborn babies, and this one hospital in particular was in Homestead, which is our predominantly Mexican area. Like we don't have a lot of Mexicans in Miami, and normally they're from Homestead because through the migrations and the moving around during different seasons, that's where a lot of the nurseries are. And bro, the amount of deformed babies that I had, missing limbs, all kinds of different shit, that because of the pesticides, because of the working conditions, because of everything, no? And they're sitting here still, right? Like trying to make a decent living out of whatever it is that they can. And then I hear some of the conversations around like, just like, the 40 pounds. And I'm like, but do you even know? Like, do you even understand procedurally what that actually looks like? Like where it started to how it got to your plate, like the lack of respect for processes, for humanity, for the amount of hands that it takes for you to have the fucking luxury to throw away 40 pounds of food. Like it blows my mind. And to think that they're paying them less, they're not even, some of them are not even being paid. No, there was a huge scandal like a few years ago where this guy that I went to high school with, his family was like a huge family in the nurseries, and all three brothers used to rape all the women. And finally one of them came out, and I was friends with them on Facebook, and I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, but I don't, what? Like, you thought that I was who? Like, no. And I made sure that shit went all over Miami, because the fact that you think you have the audacity to walk into anywhere in this city for the disgusting shit that you do. And that's that we don't even know a quarter of what actually, because for them women to not be documented and to have the confianza, what is that? The courage to like come forward with that against a really big family like that, like not a lot of them have that. And so looking at the dynamics that have all of this, and so like while you're saying like it's not about these people against these people and whatever, like yes, 100%. And I think about that all the time. And for me, like one of the other things that I think about is, also the I have had a lot of Black friends that are terrified of dogs, right? And when I started learning about evolution and like, how our instincts are built through evolution. And so like, at one point, like the fucking caveman may have died from like a snake bite, and then that gets translated and passed down to the point where now like we're like, okay, snakes are dangerous. And so subconsciously we have certain ideas that we don't know how they got there, they're just there. And a lot of it is through evolution. And so one of the things is like looking at the slave owners and using dogs against people, then cops with dogs. Then there's so many different instances where dogs have been used against certain demographics. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, like why would you think that they would be cool with animals? You know what I'm saying? Like it's already, then you have like the generations that are raised without that or with that fear. And it's like, how do you even begin to unpack that? And like when I have tried having that conversation, it becomes like we're just not, you know what I'm saying? So then it became that the dogs represented either my protection or my demise. And at that point it was like, how do you even begin to reconcile that relationship in order for people to be able to have the joy of a pet? So when you were talking about like the animosity towards animals, and people who essentially don't know how to have pets, I think that also should be part of the conversation as well. Sorry guys, I have my lashes on today.
I think, and I think, people don't know how to have pets. People don't know how to have people.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you start breaking that down, you start getting into the deconstruction of how people love and how people nurture, and just how people grow things, in general. And a lot of it is a lot of folks out here have pets and have children to be able to run something or control something.
Yeah.
You often find a lot of times people have pets who don't run anything else in their life. For me, I've been fortunate enough to be confident enough in myself, but also, I've ran shit, I run shit, I manage shit. So, I don't have the itch to need to be above something or running somebody like that. That's not an itch for me. Like I've done it. I would love to get the fuck away from it. You know what I'm saying? So, but for people, there are a lot of people out there for a lot of reasons who don't have that, who want that. And the only way, they can get it is to control something. So it's a pet, but it's also a child, it's also a spouse.
Yeah.
There are a lot of men And people, but you know, I'm just using men because I'm a man. There's a lot of men who, you know, are abusive because they've been systemically abused their entire life, and you know,
Need
they
to
don't
feel
have,
power.
yeah, they need to feel that, and you know, they never will. You know, you'll never be a supervisor, you'll never be a manager, you'll never be this, you'll never be that,
Yep.
for, you know, whatever reason. And they take that as a personal slight against who they are as a person.
Yeah.
And so then that turns into, well, if I can't have it here, then I'm gonna make it there.
Yep.
And so you get these people who, you know, if most, what you find a lot of times is most people who can't handle a pet can't handle people. I have yet to, and I'm not saying it's not out there, but I have yet to see, and I know a lot of niggas who do a lot of pets fucked up, and I, not a lot of niggas, but I'll say this: the niggas I know who do pets fucked up typically do people fucked up. I very rarely does somebody, you know, just be a hell of a person to, you know, other people, and then you know treat the pets like shit.
Yeah.
Usually don't happen like that.
Yeah.
The dogs.
Yeah, I think there should be like a when you post it to YouTube, there should be like a caption at the bottom for like trigger warning or something. Silly me to think that this is going to be a casual conversation. You know, I have my hair pulled back. I'm like, I'm chilling today. We talking about pets. Cool. You know,
blame
y'all
Hannah, bro. She did all.
You know, and for me personally, my emotional boundary automatically turns on, and I disassociate when I hear like abusive stories about pets and animals and stuff, because I can't handle it. Like, so yeah, I had to disconnect, you know, like I can't watch movies with, you know, animals
Yeah, you
getting
said that
hurt.
before.
Yeah, so y'all telling these very real gruesome stories, like it's not even movies, like this is real life. I'm just like, ooh, this is heavy. So people, you know, should know what they're getting ready to listen to, because it's definitely triggering. Like it's heavy. I thought we were coming in and talking about normalized loving pets. Well, I mean, I guess that's the other side of it. You're talking about the dark side of it, which leads to why you should love pets, but ooh, y'all took it there.
Well, on a lighter note,
I honestly, like, I kept going, and I had not.
No, it's all good. I'm just thinking, I had to, because I tell, even with clients, like when people call me, and my supervisor, like the team tries to get me to specialize in like grief and, you know, animal grief and all that stuff, and I think I can't do it. Like, even when I have clients come in and, you know, they have like stories about the past, well, I have to refer them out, because that's my emotional boundary. Like, I can't, that's a heavy weight for me. I don't even like seeing stray dogs. Like, if I see a stray dog, I have to turn my head, because it's like embedded in my memory and I want to save it. Like, one of my retirement goals is to like have this like land and really just like hoard like dogs and just take care of them and stuff. Like, it's like a dream of mine. It's like, I just want to take all the stray dogs. Like, come on, just love them, you know.
I picked up so many dogs, and like, I literally cannot. I had this guy, I was on a date one time, and he was in my car. I also will stop talking to a guy. I don't give a fuck how good you look on paper, how fine you are, how great you are. If I see that you're mistreating your dogs, like, it's a wrap. There's chances. But so I was on this date, right? And this guy, whatever, we have been talking for like a while, and all of a sudden I see a stray dog. Bro, I literally was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Right? So in the back of my car, I have like the formula for kittens and dog food. So just in case, because sometimes like I'll see some homeless people, whatever, that they, you know what I'm saying? Like, just whatever. So I would always carry stuff in the back of my car just for whatever case. And all of a sudden, this guy's face, when I was like, look, I'm really sorry, but like, I can't not help it. You know what I'm saying? So I go and I feed the dog and I get the dog. Yo, this guy fucking called an Uber, fucking left me there, never talked to me again. And I was like, okay, great. Because at least now I know who you
need
are.
to know, yeah.
I would never, like, you're gonna stop talking to me for giving a fuck? Like,
yeah,
who's an asshole right now? Like,
Yeah, and I squirm, like, even like when a squirrel jumps out and I get ready to hit it, I'm like, oh my God, like it's the whole thing. Like one time I was like really traumatized, but I think I hit a frog and it jumped out in the middle of the street. Oh, it just messed me up. Like I just cannot, somebody asked me, this like, I was telling people, like, I always talk about how passionate I am about animals, and somebody gonna try me and be like, well, are you vegetarian? No, I'm not. Okay, let's be clear, I'm not. But if I had to see the animals get slaughtered in order for me to eat, I would be, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I can't go to like the farmer's market and go to like the meat section and stuff because it's too real. Like I tell people all the time, give me the fake meat. Like let me go where it's packaged pretty or whatever. But the rawness of everything, I can't do it. So I probably would be if I had to see the cruelty and everything they go through. And I try to, anyway, but yeah.
Well, on a lighter note, and y'all, everybody wants the Daniel update because he's in his crate, and I'll be abusing him. He is he is asleep and laid out on his back with his belly to the sky.
Oh.
So that nigga be fine.
Chilling.
It don't be shit wrong with him. Yeah, that nigga has had a long day of motherfucking mayhem, and he is gearing it up to do it all over again in about 5 hours. So
I wonder what that is though. Like I've never heard anybody, like I literally ran over a frog one time and I cried for like 4 days. Like it's not just regular caring about animals. And like it's like really intense. And I've never met anybody who has ever said that. Like I've saved bumblebees when I find them in my house. I save snakes. I'll save the lizards, like whoever the fuck is in my house, like, yo, it's all right, I got you. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know what I hate?
I don't know how to explain that to people.
I hate when people kill the shit that's like in the doorway. And like, I would say, like, and I, personally, I refuse to do it because I'm like, they're outside. Like, like them being in the house, I can kind of, whatever. But if they're out, and even when they're in the house, I try to let a window open and like kind of shoo them out. But like if they're out, oh, it's it's a spider, on the side of the house. What's on the side of the house?
Yeah, that's
like,
yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's how I feel about deer. It's like when I see like a roadkill, like animals on the side of the highway, like I become more resentful of humans because I'm like, this is their natural environment. We're cutting down their homes, their trees. So when they're running out into the expressway and the highway, it's because we are taking over because we're so greedy. Like we're not leaving them anywhere to go.
Right. And like I think about that all the time. And like normally, like when I see roadkill, like I do the sign of the cross and like pay respects or whatever. And people are always like, what was it? What happened? Did you see? And I was like, no, like, and whenever I do explain it, I feel like people minimize the fuck out of me, like almost like I'm so childish, not caring as much as I do or whatever. But in my mind, like that animal literally was a part of our whole existence, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, like just every single part, whether it's science, spirituality, whatever, like part of the ecosystem, however you want to look at it, like everything is interconnected. So at the end of the day, like it's just a matter of like just paying my respects. Like I know I am an empath. I know that I am severely sensitive. I'm very aware of that. But then in my mind, sometimes I wonder, like, am I as sensitive as I think, or are people as callous as they are? No, like, and where do you find that balance? Because I know that some of my reactions may seem super extreme to people, but in my mind, it's just like normal. And then when I see the callousness, I'm like, okay, and I've always been told like I'm too much and I'm too sensitive and I'm too dramatic. So I never know like what the healthy gauge of that space and that reaction to these type of situations would be. And Chris, you're the first person that have ever heard in my life say that. And now I'm like, oh my God,
it's okay. Yeah, I feel like we as like a species, like humans, have become too like disconnected and just like selfish, or something has been like a line, you know what I mean? Before I got on here, someone brought it to my attention that at one point in time, animals were so high on the hierarchy that they were obviously carved in caves and stuff, with the pharaohs and all that stuff. So it's like, at what point did that become so diminished? You know what I'm saying? And where we are now, where people frown upon those who still hold animals to such a high esteem, who still care about them, as minimized, like you said, versus, you know what I'm saying, like actually realizing. I just feel like it's a spirituality thing where we're truly connected. You know what I mean? We don't look at things, living creatures, as nothing. You know what I mean? It's, even like I go to like Pike nurseries, like the plants and stuff, and you just see all the. I'm amazed at living things. Like I love living things. You know what I'm saying? Because when you really look at it, for me, it goes to spirituality. I'm just like, wow. Like when you actually understand the concept, or not even understand the concept, but when you actually can not even comprehend how this became to be. How did this become and create and have feelings or know the reproductive system, and it can do this on its own, and the ecosystem, all this other stuff. The way it's so interconnected is mind blowing. You know what I mean? And so when somebody tries to minimize it, I just realize how disconnected that person is. I have a friend of mine, one of my close friends, a lot of sisters, but whatever. She was telling me this story. I was so like engulfed in her story. She was telling me this story about how she was taking her Christmas decorations down, and she went upstairs and reached out the window to take the wreath down, and a bird's nest fell. And when the bird's nest fell, she saw an egg fall on the ground. So she felt awful. Like she was just like sick to her stomach. And she goes downstairs to try to like get it up. But when she goes downstairs, she sees what must be the male bird come. And he's coming, he's flying around, he's going to like the window where the reef was, like he's looking for this egg. And you see the other bird come over, and then they're chirping together, trying to figure out what we're assuming, where the egg is. I mean, she's recording the whole thing, so I'm seeing it on video. She's like showing what they're chirping. They go fly to the house next door as if they're looking like, is this the right house? Whatever. So it's just like to see the communication or the interaction is not just an egg to them. You know what I mean? Like this is still their baby, you know what I mean? Like this is their home. And so it's just like, we have been so, I don't know the word, like just so like pray something where we've just been trained to think that we are so superior to everything else, and everything else must bow to the other species, that actually makes the world go round. Some of these animals and bees and bumblebee, all this stuff like helps create the balance within the system. And for us to not even recognize or respect that, it just kind of makes me look at our species as, side eye, whatever.
Well, to answer your question, two things happen, and it all again goes back to capitalism. First and foremost, when we had to start mass producing animals in order to feed people. You got to think 100, what is it, 2021, maybe 100 years ago, that wasn't really the case. And especially if you lived, rurally. I mean, yeah, you would grow animals and you would slaughter them, but you weren't mass producing them. So in order to mass produce anything, you have to devalue it. Same thing that happened, when like just to make it connect for people who may have historical context but don't have animal context. We talk about slavery. What went along with slavery was an entire industry in psychology and eugenics that was devoted to making Black people seem less than human. If you make us seem less than human, then you make it seem like it's okay for us to be kidnapped, raped, tortured, and enslaved. Same thing we talk about prisoners. If the people in prison are bad people, then you justify mistreating them, right? So animals, it's the same thing. We have to grow them, to slaughter them, to produce them, to feed people, and so thus we need that. Also, too, I'm gonna talk to you niggas out here, especially. And you know what? It's everywhere. I'm not gonna even throw, one city under the bus, but everybody want these new houses. My nigga, those complexes tear down wildlife. So, there are plenty of old houses in this country right now that are fucking abandoned, let alone, ready to be sold, that you could take your funky ass in there and live. But, your lower middle class motherfucking ass, so, like somehow needs to have some fucking brand new house. In some fucking brand new complex that's out in some fucking zip code they had to establish with some brand new cul-de-sac and all that kind of shit. Well, that land wasn't cleared out. It wasn't just random land, my nigga. They had to tear down a whole motherfucking forest. They had to kill all kinds of shit in order to make that happen, right? Now you got a new house like you goddamn MC motherfucking Hammer when the fucking reality of it is, your funky ass and your punk ass husband or your punk ass wife to collectively bring in $70,000 motherfucking dollars a year so you can move your ass into a normal motherfucking house just like everybody else. But you want to have a brand new motherfucking house just so you can have a brand new motherfucking house. And so y'all throw up these cheap ass drywall ass piece of shit ass McMansions in these motherfucking cul-de-sacs and take your fucking Instagram pictures and talk about, dangle some motherfucking keys and a fuck ass sweater and a motherfucking matching old ass Audi, outside that motherfucking be like goals. Shut the fuck up. Move your ass in the house. It's already motherfucking established. Let the motherfucking wildlife be where the fuck they at, and then you ain't got to worry about that shit. But because for whatever reason, a home is some kind of status symbol, despite the fact that, y'all the motherfuckers are goddamn one motherfucking write up away from motherfucking being homeless your goddamn self, because 80% of Americans live goddamn check to check. So, once you lose your motherfucking job, once she get laid off, and that bitch going to motherfucking default, and y'all motherfucking asses, back in the motherfucking apartments any goddamn way, like the fuck out of here. But that's the kind of shit, that's the kind of reality that niggas don't really want to speak on. You ain't got no goddamn business building a motherfucking house to begin with. You really motherfucking don't. So it's plenty of houses in the city. There's plenty of houses, wherever the fuck you at that you can fucking move into, but you don't fucking want to because you want shit to look good for, whoever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? So your fuck ass fleece and the punk ass dress shoes can get the fuck on somewhere. But again, that's capitalism. Like that's a function of capitalism. So in order for you to keep up with motherfuckers who don't give a fuck about you, you need to destroy 2 acres of motherfucking wildlife in order to move into the motherfucker. You can't furnish the motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? It's all kinds of you goddamn talking that bitch is an echo swirling around the motherfucker, but you need to have it because you feel like you need to keep up with a motherfucker who don't give a fuck about you just so you can get over 100 likes on motherfucking Instagram.
Yeah.
Fuck y'all.
And then people also forget, or maybe they haven't been taught, I don't know. But the thing about cutting down all the trees for all these new developments and all this other stuff is also taking away the oxygen for us. You know what I'm saying? Like our air quality, everything is being lessened for us. But it's like, of course, because of this new day flex or whatever, people care less about actually living and surviving because living and surviving is no longer as important as this flex. You know what I'm saying? I would rather have this than to be able to breathe quality air, than to be able to, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's crazy to me.
Right. It's good enough just to have a motherfucking house. Yeah. But shit gotta be new. You got them motherfuckers justified like, oh, what the schools? Well, you know what? Motherfucker, volunteer. Take your motherfucking ass up there, volunteer, supplement your child education, do whatever the fuck it is you gotta do to make the community you could be in motherfucking better. Do that shit. But everybody's plan is I'm gonna move out. I mean, shit. And again, not the motherfucking throw a city in, but I mean that's how Atlanta grew north 50 miles. So like it's the same fucking shit. Oh, we live in there. No, the fuck you not. Like the fuck out of here. Move your ass where the fuck you supposed to be. Help the fuck out. Build the goddamn community, and then nigga, the community, the ecosystem. And everything revolved around that motherfucker can goddamn function properly.
Yeah.
So and then it ain't just Atlanta, it's fucking St. Louis, like motherfuckers out in St. Peters and out in motherfucking West County and all that kind of shit. I'm sure it's in Houston. I'm sure it's everywhere where niggas be trying to flex, which is everywhere on the fucking planet. Niggas is out somewhere where they don't need to be, and then their whole life be inconvenienced. You 2 hours away from every goddamn thing, just so you can be in this bullshit ass house that motherfucking leak all the goddamn time. And when a motherfucking storm hit it, that shit gonna goddamn huff and puff and blow the fuck down because it took them 5 days to motherfucking build it.
Yeah.
Ain't no brick, ain't no motherfucking siding. It's goddamn drywall and goddamn
poorly built
old goddamn handles on that motherfucker.
Yep. I know when I first got into like the real estate business and I was buying homes, I got so much grief and so much hate, and essentially is what it was, because I was more so on the older homes. You know what I'm saying? Like I love older homes, right? And I tell people like older homes have like they have the personality, they got the quality, like everything else. And so then when you see people fantasize about these newly built homes, and you think about like the time that it took, the short time that it took to be built, and like you said, like it's poorly built, and you know you see the roofs blowing off, and these in these strong storms, because not even really hurricanes, it's just high winds, and then the stuff is blowing off, and it's like, but you guys want something so quick. You want this popcorn effect that you're not even looking for quality anymore, you know? And I've had people come and, you know, want to buy houses now. And I've had to take a step back from just the whole real estate game, because the way it has become, I'm not on that. You know what I'm saying? Like at one point, for me, it was genuinely about helping people find homes of decent quality that was going to be for what you say, like for your family, for whatever you're looking for, whatever. But now, and like you said, it's specifically for Atlanta, because I'm in Atlanta. It's, you know, Atlanta is home of the flex to me. Like
home of the
flex. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like Lord, like, you know what I'm saying? Now you look at these houses, like the market, the value is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell people, like, I can't even fathom the concept of trying to buy a home now, because the value that it's actually worth, and how much it's actually selling for. And
how much
the thing about it is, and then people are going for like the realtors who have this high fan base. But of course, you know, and you know, not to not get everybody got to have a hustle, but the realtor is trying to worry about their check. You know what I'm saying? They're not really trying to put you on game and be like, this is an awful deal. This is a really bad, you know what I'm saying? They just like, oh yeah, let's go higher than that, because, and you have to go higher nowadays, because everybody wants this Instagram picture. And so because everybody wants this Instagram picture, now everybody's trying to buy a home. And so you have houses now that are literally like on a daily having 60 showings. You know what I'm saying? You're having 60, 70 offers submitted in. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like a house could be listed, like I saw this one home that was listed for 179. It was listed for 179 and it sold for 3 something. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and on top of, let me be clear, I do my research. So when I looked at house 179, I'm like, this house shouldn't even been 179. When you go back before 2020, 2019, 2018, when you go back before then, the house was like 40,000. When you look at the actual value of the house, it was 40,000, may have gone up to 45, went up to 60, went up to 80. And now all of a sudden it's 179 now. And then it sold for 3 something. It's ridiculous, but people don't care about that. Everybody just want this end result. And nobody, it just, and I can't be okay with that.
Niggas will pay 300,000 and be proud of it.
Yeah.
Like niggas will pay $300,000 for a $40,000 home and be fucking proud of it. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm gonna tell you, I grew up in the house I grew up in, my mama house, it's still my mama house. It's a 3-story brick house. That motherfucker been up in a house since 1897. That shit, yeah, dog. Like, so frame of reference. St. Louis is a really old city, like really, really, really old city. It's one of the first cities founded on this continent. Be honest with you. So everything, and it was a really wealthy city. So even when you go through the hood, like all of the houses in like North St. Louis, which is why, like, you know, be clear, I take the houses in the hood before I take the houses in the motherfucking county, because the houses in the motherfucking hood are brick. Like they be like they be brick houses, and them motherfuckers be sturdy. Like when we have storm, we had tornadoes, we have everything in this motherfucker. We won't never be worried. The power might go out tops, but nigga, we don't never had no damage. Never had no damage. Like you got a brick house, bro, old brick house. We don't never had no motherfucking damage. Period.
When you got like a brick house, is it literally like?
No, nigga, I'm not talking about a brick front. I'm talking about the whole motherfucking house.
All sides,
brick.
Yeah.
All of it, brick.
Yeah.
It's brick.
On the inside of the house, it's brick.
Well, no, on the outside, it's a four-sided brick house.
You don't, like you don't see brick walls. Like nah, like it's walls in front of the brick, but the whole house is brick.
And I had to give somebody a lesson on that because they wanted this newer house, and it was up against a brick home because it was older, but the newer home had the siding and sheetrock. It looked pretty with this brick fake front, like this fake brick front. And I'm like, I'm trying to tell you, you need to go with this 4-sided brick house. It has so much more equity, so much more value. But it's like, oh, because it's old and it's not, I'm like, but you can update it yourself. You can modernize it, paint it gray, get your floor.
That new house shit do not impress me, dog.
I try to tell people, and it's so frustrating that everybody is so hooked on this look that nobody cares about value anymore. My house is a 4-sided brick house, and it's hard for me to leave this house because when I look at what's out there and the prices and the value, it's awful. And I'm just the rooms are smaller, like it's awful.
I do not. I have yet to go in anybody's brand new house. Because I don't know anybody super duper rich, I guess. But I have yet to go in anybody's brand. Because, I mean, if you goddamn, LeBron James, I'm sure it's shit off the chain. But I have yet to go in anybody's, we just got a brand new, and this, I don't give a fuck. Whoever watches this, take it how they want to take it. I have yet to go in anybody's house and be impressed by it. Nobody's. It's again, if you roll through St. Louis, whenever y'all come up, I'm gonna take y'all through the hood, bro. Our houses in the hood be big as fuck. And they be brick. They be 3-story, 3.5-story, whatever the fuck, brick houses. And they be beautiful. They just be in the hood. But nigga, like if you were to tell me I could get this brick house for 175 and it's only that cheap because of the property value, quote unquote, or I can go out to X, Y, and Z and pay goddamn 375 for some bullshit, I'm gonna be in the hood. I promise you that. Because that shit don't even make that. It don't make sense.
It doesn't.
It don't make sense, nigga. I'm not finna buy no shit that costs you $22,000 to make. That every time the weather change, I'm gonna have problem after problem after problem. The rain gonna fuck it up. The ceiling gonna come off. The motherfucking bugs gonna get up in that motherfucker. Like I'm gonna have problem after problem after problem, and that shit is not gonna motherfucking stand. I'm gonna be replacing the roof every motherfucking 18 months. Cause y'all just glued that motherfucker on there. Whereas, like again, you go in the hood, dog, and not saying I'm from the hood, but St. Louis is an old city, so most of the houses in the city are brick. Dog, them houses been there for 100, 150 years, and that's not even exaggerating. Like that's not even playing a game. Like I said, my house.
Like side note, that's not scary growing up in a house like that.
You said what?
It's not scary growing up in a house like that.
Scary now.
I don't get what you mean scary. What you mean?
I don't know, like old ass houses like that, like the history of it. The fuck? Like I just would never be able to sleep. I just feel like it's
something different. Like when I got my first house in Tuskegee, is a very old historical place. I was a little moving in there, but. By the time you walk and pray over it and paint the walls and change the toilet, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, it's you be straight and make your chores, you know what I'm saying? You be straight.
It was haunted. It's still haunted, actually.
Oh, you see, you got me.
Okay. We can go back to pets and
it's but again, haunting, when you talk about haunting, every haunting isn't every haunting isn't like some kind of fucked up spirit trying to kill you.
Let me tie it around to pets. So I went to a cabin. The cabin's pretty different.
Really out here scary, bro.
Let me tie back around the cabin. So I'm just saying, tying it back to pets. I went to a cabin, other year ago, whatever, and I had Paula and Sweetie with me, and it was something about because the bedroom was upstairs. It was something about the bedroom. They would not go up there. Like I would carry them up the stairs and they would literally go back down the stairs. I close the door, they would cry. And so I listened to them. Like when they make some noise or whatever, they let me know. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what happened in this room, but it ain't good and they not feeling it. So yeah.
It's a little girl in my mama's house.
No, you have no sisters. We're not doing this.
This is your emotional disconnect. This is your boundary.
And let's tie it back to pets.
This is where you cut off.
Let's
you can talk about the whales and the
it's a little girl in my mama's house.
Oh my god, my face is getting hot.
And I woke up one night. I might about 10 or 11. I woke up one night and she was in my room across the room. And the reason why I know that shit was real is because Sparkle was up, and it's like middle of the night. Sparkle was literally up, looking exactly where I was looking at,
Mm.
and she turned and looked at me. And Sparkle might have been like 2, so she turned and looked at me like you see this shit, nigga? And I was like, yeah. And she went away. So I don't know. So
Literally, like my I like
Pets will be letting you
the
know. That's why if I go around people and they're like, because they let you know, like they'll bark just in a little bit in the beginning, and once you rub them, they kind of like calm down. But they keep on barking at you. I'm like, oh, you're not a good person. So they'll let you know.
the land the house is built on was a plantation.
mm-mm.
So that entire I grew up. It was a street named Skinker. So anybody from St. Louis, like everybody knows Skinker. Skinker named after Skinker. White folks say Skinker Farms. It's Skinker Plantation. And something like 40% of all the street names in St. Louis are named after plantations. So like Goodfellow. So y'all don't have any reference to it, but like everybody out there, Goodfellow is a plantation. Like so everything, because you got to think St. Louis was, when it first founded, was really small, and then it grows out. So everything that's developed was at one point farmland or plantation land. So so the houses are so old and all that kind of shit because because of that. So Skinker was actually Skinker Plantation. So I don't know who the girl is, little white girl. I don't know. But yeah, she be up in that motherfucker.
You think the slaves did something to her?
No, she cool.
I mean, not saying she was bad, but I'm saying, you know how they saying something, in the movies, because that's all I can reference is the movies. You know how they say like they be stuck there because they soul is trapped there. They got an unrightful. So whatever the slaves they like got revenge.
Yeah, I don't know. It's another story. So it's when we first moved back to St. Louis, we stayed in this place called the Merchandise Mart. And it was like loft. You know how cities are like taking old buildings and like renovating them and turning them into lofts and shit, whatever. And so it was the dude in the unit who would be wearing a suit, and like he would be in the corner, and like you see him and he having a gray suit, whatever. Be real fly. Like we'd be like, oh shit, and then he'd be gone. Well, I talking to my uncle, and this when we first moved back, and it was like he was like, where you staying at? And I was like, the Merchandise Mart. He was like, oh shit, I used to go there and get my suits. Before they turned it into like lofts, like way back in the day, it was like clothing stores. So it clicked, like that's who the nigga in the suit is. It makes sense because I don't know if the unit we were in was his store or if it was, whatever, but that's what it is. But again, I'm from St. Louis. St. Louis is a really, really old city. So really old city have ghosts. We have ghosts, we got spirits. So, y'all are freaking out because y'all ain't really
But
from.
I'm laughing at Hannah because your body language is what mine was doing when you was telling all those gruesome animal abuse stories. Like I was picturing
Yeah,
like hair. I was like, Lord.
nah, ghosts up here, whatever you want to call them, ghosts up here, spirits, like they're all a part of just growing up here. Like it's just literally everywhere you go, it's a ghost experience.
Like I'm very aware, like that there is different dimensions and that there is a lot of spiritual realms that exist outside of our comprehension. Like my conversation with the divine entities that I believe in is not the only realm of existence of whatever. So like in my mind, it's something that I've struggled with since I was like really, really young, and I never knew. I have a very, very insatiable like appetite for stories on war, murder, like history, whatever, right? And I am like all in it. But then there's like, and then spirituality as well. Like I've been practicing and trying different things and whatever. But then all of a sudden there's like this like I cannot, like when it gets to the point of like, and I'll be like, yo, let's talk to them, you know what I'm saying? Like I talk to my homies like that have passed away, you know what I'm saying? Like I'll go to their graves, whatever, like, and I have like a list of my spiritual team, you know what I'm saying? Like my peoples that transitioned, whatever. But there is something about the ones that are I guess essentially like strangers, no? Like that just like I cannot get, I don't watch any scary movies with spirits. I don't watch none of that like Ouija board shit. Bitch, if you want to play that shit, go do that on your own time. I didn't grow up knowing nobody that did the shit in the mirror, whatever. Like that was very American. You know what I'm saying? Like where they'd be like, let's go to the fucking mirror and say whatever the fuck it is that they say. Like, bitch, no. Right? Like I don't today might be the day, bitch, right? Like you got time. I do not. I'm not doing it with you. Right. And so there's like, and I've talked about it with therapists, whatever, because like my heart literally like shrivels up and my whole body has like a physiological reaction
Why?
to the thought. I don't know. And like I understand that they're not all dangerous. I understand that some of them are in transition. Some of them need me to acknowledge, like, but like, oh my God, my throat just like dried up. Like just I don't know. I don't know. And I've been to certain places, like, okay, like when I went to Alcatraz, right? Bro, when I went to Alcatraz, I didn't do the whole tour. I couldn't finish it. There was like this one cell that like I went to, and like when I tell you that like it was fucking disgusting, whatever the fuck that was, no? And I couldn't handle it. And everybody's like, oh my God, look, I'm in prison, bleh, whatever, right? And I'm like, bitch, like, y'all, whatever. Like, I'm out, right? And I went and I waited outside until everybody was done. In Kuwait, when I've gone to like the war museums and stuff like that, like it is almost like it's like almost like a suffocating, right? And then when I was younger, I used to have this reoccurring dream of like literally like being strangled. And there's something about, I guess, like going into those spaces that when you open those channels, you know, whether it's through your spirituality or not, just like anything else, there is the trial and error, right? Of figuring out how to use your channel, how to use your gifts, how to whatever the fuck, right? And so I've always wondered if my fears of opening my channels has hindered my spiritual progress, because I don't have the faith that I'll be safe in the exploration of whatever the fuck is beyond that suffocating feeling, right? Like it's a whole fucking thing.
But I think you gotta. I think it's the Ogun. No, I think that I think that you have to prepare. I think you have to kind of prepare yourself for it. So okay, so like here's the thing. I think
like sweating.
So again, St. Louis is like, for those, St. Louis is New Orleans. They were founded at the same time. St. Louis is New Orleans with a winter, essentially. So the same kind of spooky shit that goes on down there is the same kind of shit that goes on up here, right? So I don't think it was a mistake. I was born, like I came, like I was born here. And so like whenever like that kind of energy you feel is, look at me giving you spiritual advice. That that kind of energy you feel is real. And the issue, because I feel it too.
Right.
But
New Orleans is a city that has fucked me up. And I've tried explaining it to people that New Orleans is one of the heaviest places I've ever been in my life.
But what you and St. Louis is like that. But what it's you okay, so yeah, we fucking talking. So okay. So here's the thing. There are dark spirits that probably chase everybody. And they chase me as well. And like I can literally feel them like swinging on me. And when I say swinging, I'm talking like metaphorically speaking. Like literally you can feel them like run at you essentially. But I'm never really I'm never fearful of it, because for whatever reason, the preparation either in this life or the past, whatever you say, I'm on my last one, you know, whatever. Um, it's just giving me enough armor to where like you can kind of block that shit. So like me going into, because I've been in those kind of spaces too. There's a house here that was like a mass murder and like a mass suicide. And like that energy is really, really heavy. It don't bother me. Like even though I feel it, it don't bother me. Like when people, are murdered in a certain kind of way or whatever, it literally don't bother me. Even though I can feel it, I acknowledge it. But I think there's a certain level of preparation that goes into having that kind of thing. So I think you actually smart by not playing with it. Because if you don't have to logically explain something that's illogical. So if you just feel like this ain't where the fuck I need to be, then it's not where the fuck you need to be. Period. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like that's not there like there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, for me, it don't bother me. But for whatever reason, I don't know who, what, or whatever gives me that kind of protection. For me not to be bothered by it. But like I know in my heart of hearts or in my spirit or in my soul, whatever the fuck, if I walk into that Alcatraz cell, ain't shit gonna touch me. And like I'm not gonna leave with it. So it's just a function of that. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's always, like I said, St. Louis got a lot of ghosts and a lot of slaves, man. So you just kind of grow up with it. You kind of grow up with that just being a natural part of life. You'll be a lot of places where you feel that energy because it's been people in this spot for the last 500 years. So that's just the kind of shit that happens.
I just don't know. Like I struggle with it because I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like when I found those cemeteries in Atlanta, like that shit was heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like super fucking heavy. And then it was like the injustice and whatever. And so like in my mind, like I have always wanted to explore that fear because I know that fear really holds me back a lot. But the preparation and the not knowing the what if or whatever. And so I just like out of respect for it, I don't fuck with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How you feel about haunted shit, Crystal?
I'm actually quite intrigued. It doesn't like gross me out or anything. I lean more into it. Yeah, it don't gross me out at all. I guess if I was to encounter a bad spirit or something, it could make me a little weary. But for the most part, I try to think very optimistic and hopeful that, spirits will be good. So I look forward to it, I guess. Like I kind of like will lean into that. But at the same time, that's what I'm saying. Like all I've ever done have been old homes. And so that thought always crosses my mind. And so I just become okay and comfortable with that possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean.
Now, like I said, when I see Polo and Sweetie barking, or, they're like in the hallway and they're just like barking and nothing in the hallway, I peek and I just go back my business. I'm like, all right, y'all got it,
I mean, honestly, spirits are kind of like people. For the most part, people be chilling. Like people don't want no static. Spirits don't want no static. They don't want no drama. They ain't coming for all that. So just like you would normally find decent people.
Yeah,
find decent enough.
Like when I hear you and Food particularly talk about like the ancestors and how on the podcast you kind of talked about you're encountering, it's one whole episode whatever that we talked about, and like that has me so intrigued. Like I'm just like, dang, like that makes me want to be open to that because I feel like honestly, the only way you would be able, and I don't know, this is just my opinion, I feel like the only way you would be able to receive that is to be open to it. I feel like if you're closed off to it, then you're gonna block it off, whatever, you're gonna ignore, whatever. But I feel like you have to be open to be able to, receive those type of encounters or whatever.
The whole time Mike was sharing that story, when I tell you that I had never prayed that fucking hard, and when we went back to the hotel that night and I got to my room, I had to take Benadryl to go to sleep because my mind was on 1,000, and like the Bro, I was so fucking scared, and I was
You were
trying.
scared.
Oh yeah.
I thought you would say it was on 1,000 because, like, for me, it was excitement. Like, I went back home, like, all right, y'all, let's see. Y'all gonna come to me tonight. Let's see. You know,
That's literally the whole entire issue, is that my fear and my excitement are equal. So as excited as I am for the discovery of like ancestors and my lineage and whatever, like, okay, when I was in Iran, right? Like I had somebody gave me some jewelry that was 150 years old of my great grandmother, right? And I wore it for a really, really long time. You know what I'm saying? And in my mind, it was like, it was a beautiful thing, right? And to me, my great grandmother is one of the spirits that I talk to on a regular basis after I found out about her. And so and they went like really deep to find a picture of her. I have a picture of her like in my room, like a whole thing happened, right? But then I don't know what happens in my body, like just this thing. So as I was equally so intrigued and like wanting to learn more while Mike was talking, and like being able to possibly be a vessel of service to the other side or whatever, right? The fear is just as potent. And that disconnect has fucked me up for a lifetime, because I do know that some spirits need and still have work to do, right? And some spirits, so okay, so one of the readers that I use, there's and it's happened several times, where there's a male family member of blood that that is not able to transition until I give my forgiveness, right? So and I have a feeling that I know who it is. Now, in a behind the scenes way, I'm able to like talk and like deal and whatever. But in the moment that like I'm hearing about it in real time, I like my whole body is like, bitch, abort mission, abort mission. Like I don't know. I don't know.
You gotta let that shit take you, cuz.
Ooh.
You do.
One of my biggest regrets growing older is that I didn't take advantage of getting to know my grandparents as much as I could have. And like for my grandparents, my great grandmother passed away on my 18th birthday, and she was over 103 years old and very coherent, you know, like walking very, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, if I, of course, was who I am now, the questions and the conversations I would have had with them. But, you know, being younger, you just kind of like take it, you know, as grandparents, you know, and not really thinking like that. And I wish I could have had those conversations to really get to know them. And like I've said before in here, like from me, my grandparents, me learning now, you know, like that, hey, like, you know, my mom's parents met on the plantation field, you know what I mean? And just certain stuff, like certain things that are coming up now, just as me as an adult, like I'm just curious about that I never thought to ask about before. Like, hey, you know, what's grandma's middle name? And it's like, oh, I don't think she had one, you know, and it's just like, what, you know, but it's like, but if I could have asked her then, you know what I mean? Or if I could have asked this, or, you know, and, you know, whatever case, it's like a lot of stories that lead back to it, but it's just like, dang, like, I had the opportunity to be able to talk to my grandparents who could have told me real life versions of their stories and their experiences in the mix instead of having to read about it. I wish, like, that's one of my biggest adult regrets.
Well, here go. If you focus hard enough and you open hard enough, like will you get the kind of dialogue you would get if they were sitting right here with you? No. But I found that you do get the answers. You do get information that's pertinent to what it is you need. Now it takes a while to kind of unfold, and it takes and this is just me. So I'm not telling anybody how shit goes. I don't subscribe to any kind of canon per se. But this is just how like my shit goes. They give you what you need, but for me, it takes me a while to figure it out. So okay, so like last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, one of them finally spoke, and
Is it a lady?
So this wasn't a lady. This was a guy.
Oh, okay.
So
We're waiting for the lady.
I
yeah,
know,
no,
because he talked about it in the podcast about the lady
no,
with the
no,
hands.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you remember, it's a lady that comes forward, but I'm still in a campfire with like a bunch of different people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's mostly male actually. But so a male finally spoke, but he spoke in his tongue, so it was his language.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the language obviously, and the only thing I could really feel from it is that it was really it's a really old language. Like I don't think it's even spoken anymore. Which kind of I've been trying to figure out how old they are, and it kind of gives me like little breadcrumbs here and there. So like whoever I'm with, they're really, 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 really old. So they're really, really, really far back. But he spoke, and whatever he was saying was really, it wasn't urgent as in like warning impending danger, but it was like kind of almost like I finally got permission to speak, and I've been waiting to speak for I don't know how long. So like I'm gonna say everything I can, before they tell me to shut up again, right? So I've been sitting on what he was trying to say for a minute, and I couldn't. Every time I would try to meditate on it, I just couldn't gather what he was trying to convey. I had a dream last night, that involved, um, so if I can remember it enough to explain it, it involved a baby. The It was a C-section, but when the baby was taken out, he was still fully in the womb. And so we were trying to get the baby out of the womb, and it was me and Alvin. You remember Alvin, my cousin. So it was me and Alvin was trying to direct me on how to get the baby out of the actual womb. But he was doing it really, really slowly. Like, and he kept, every time he would say like one word, and then he would look at me like I was stupid because I couldn't catch it, right? So between that and a couple things in between, what was said to me was to go back and rely on people I have close connections with, ask questions and have a lot of patience, right? So my granny just could have fucking told me that, right? If she was here. But that's not how my ancestors work. Like that's not how my connection works. So what you do is you got to traverse through and sit with, in the words of my dog Foo, I'm repping for you. Uh, you got to sit with yourself and figure out what the messages are. Now sometimes they come clear as day. I remember when the baby was born, the night before she was born, my grandma came and talked to me.
What?
Who I never met. It was actually my dad's mom. But in every big thing I do, I know it's about to happen because she'll come and talk to me. Like
Did she come and talk to you about your decision to become an entrepreneur?
she didn't, but that's because it's not that big a deal yet. But I don't make money, or I don't make money, or how I make money a big deal. Like money in my life is not a big deal. So like it always kind of works itself out. So and I think that's just a fortune of probably my ancestors allowing me to focus on other shit. Like I've never had to be stressed about money, right? So that's not what she's gonna come down about. She's gonna come down about something else. It ain't gonna be that. But when I say come down, it's not even coming down because she's always around me. It's just when she actually gets to talk. But yeah, but it's just literally.
How old were you when you first like connected
To who?
to whoever? Like your first time, like around what age did you start realizing that you could do this and tapping into it?
I didn't start realizing I could tap into it until I was good and grown. I was 18. I was 18. I had a I thought it was a dream. It was actually a vision. What my ancestors like to do is they like to show me who they were. Show me who they were whenever I'm asleep. So I was running across the field, running from something like some dogs or some shit. And I was running like across the field, and I got to a stream. The stream was clear. So it was clear enough to see my reflection. I looked in the stream and it was me, but it wasn't me. And I've told the story. Like everything about it was me, but physically, appearance wise, it wasn't me. So I ran across the stream, went to a farmhouse, went up to the third story attic, hid in a chest, with some blankets on top of me. Man, I woke up.
How do you decipher between it being the ancestors versus it being like lucid dreaming or something?
You can just feel it. Like you and that's something I can't really teach, and I don't think I'm necessarily supposed to teach, but it's just literally you just feel it. But you only feel it if you don't try to rationalize it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like you gotta, whenever we tell the story about whenever I tell y'all about my ancestor, that's the woman in the forest, whenever I look at her, it took me a minute to not blink out of it. You know what I'm saying? So so like in the past, I could look at her and then I'd be like, hold on, wait, I'm tripping. And then, I immediately exit out of it. When you get in that realm and you see them, you got to stand there. You kind of got to stand. You got to stand in there and take it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they see that you're gonna stand in there and take it, then the messages become a lot more clear and they become a lot more frequent. So, and again, this is me. So I'm not, I do not. Me and Hannah had a conversation about this actually on a one-off. Because I was like, nah, I be on this shit, but I don't subscribe to any canon. Like I don't subscribe to any spirituality or anything like that. As far as like an organized whatever. And Hannah brought a point. She was like, you probably don't have to. Like people subscribe to that to figure stuff out, to make sense of it. She was like, if you're already to the point where you've made sense of it to where you can figure it out, like you don't need it. So not that I'm beyond religion in an arrogance way or beyond spirituality in like an arrogant way, but it's just I think I've done more connecting by myself than I ever did following, somebody else.
Yeah.
So but to answer your question, you would just feel the difference, but you got to feel it. Like, because I'm sure a lot of people, my theory is a lot of ancestors try to tap into a lot of people, but we're just so inundated with what's supposed to be and what's not supposed to be that when it happens, we kind of push it aside, or we kind of wake up, or we kind of shove it aside and be like, nah, this ain't that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you stand in it, is what I call it, when I stand in it, it becomes more clear how real it is. And so you get to a point where, you can acknowledge that the realm you're in right now, that you can kind of float simultaneously, that the realm, we're in right now in this moment, that there's another realm out there. And in any given moment, if your connection is strong enough, you can hop back and forth. A lot of times when I write, I kind of a little bit go in and out. So like even on Instagram, like a lot of shit I write, it's not me writing it. It's not that I'm thinking on a subject and it comes up and like I get it out. It's just literally it, somebody subtly suggests it or somebody screams it at me. I'm like, all right, nigga, cool. Like, all right, hold on. Like, all right, I got you. And the moms be like, dog, this shit deep. Where you get this from? Nick, the nigga told me. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, but I mean, the main thing is just being able to lean into it and like stand in it. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned. So as I've gotten more involved in this purpose that we're doing now, it's come a lot more frequently. Before growing up, it used to come like really, really few and far between. Because I think I was always focused on shit that wasn't my purpose. And so it was like, nigga, I'm not gonna talk to you right now because it's not you're not even gonna hear me right now. But since we started doing this, really when we started doing it with Liz and Devin, and I started really getting for real about it, is when I started having access to them, and they started really being like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think you about ready. So, you know, she's interesting. But that's and also why I kind of wanted to redo the logo. You know, the logo was something I saw. Like I kept being like the porch and motherfuckers, not motherfuckers, but people were like, "Dog, you really need the porch." I'm like, "Yeah, I really need the porch." I absolutely like I couldn't do a new logo without the porch. Because the porch is the one thing my mom and my dad's ancestors both have in common. Whenever they come to me, is it's a porch involved. So them dogs, man.
That man is asleep.
Is yours still up, Hannah?
Hell yeah. You know, I've been trying to figure out what the fuck she wants.
This nigga not. He gonna be up in like an hour though. Ready to motherfucking go. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go and I don't even know what.
Yeah. So ain't nobody watching this shit right now. We've been on this bitch for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So whoever's staying and watching it, dog, you need a salute, like, cause we've been all over the motherfucking place, and we didn't even advertise this motherfucker, like none of that. So whoever watched 2.5 hours of us talking about anything, like salute. Who would have thought the longest show we'd have would not have Foo on it? Like that's great. Foo is the timekeeper. That's incredible. That's incredible. And but we gotta run it. We gotta run half of this back because I need Foo in on like the last 30 minutes of this conversation. Like he need to be in on this shit.
Honestly, we could just start there next week.
Yeah, because
journey spiritually.
Yeah, because my dog is on some. Is on some
different. If you want to say it, just say it.
Huh?
You're gonna say it.
Say what?
Ogun.
The Ogun. Nah. My dog is on some next plane, next level understanding shit. So I wanted to save a lot of this for when we really got to dive into it, but we just kind of open it up now. So we definitely gonna have to run it back with my dog in it. For real. So yeah, thanks for coming out, everybody. Drive safe.
All right.
Bye y'all.
Bye y'all.
I'll let you.
Okay, bye.